This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Don't fuck with me, fellas! This isn't my first time at the Horror Fried Podcast. I'm here with Michael Combs.
And Mike Martin.
And Keitha Clanton.
How's your mama and them? Thanks for joining us, friends. We're reviewing the 10th film in our Southern Horror series. As you know, the full list of this season's movies are posted on Instagram at the Horror Fried Podcast. Be sure to check those out and watch right along with us. We would love to hear your thoughts. Now, come sit a spell. Let's talk about Death Proof. Two separate sets of voluptuous women are stalked at different times by a scarred stuntman who uses his Death Proof card to execute his murderous plans. Death Proof stars Kurt Russell as Stuntman Mike, Zoe Bell as herself, Rosario Dawson as Abernathy, Vanessa Ferlito as Arlene, Sydney Tamia Poitier as Jungle Julia, Tracy Thomas as Kim, Rose McGowan as Pam, Jordan Ladd as Shanna Banana, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Lee, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. This movie came out May 31st, 2007, as part of the Grindhouse double feature playing After Planet Terror, and together they grossed $31.1 million worldwide. Before we get started, I have a very quick question.
Yes.
Do you prefer the girls or the other girls?
The other girls.
Okay.
Yeah. The second.
Yeah.
So, do I prefer the first girls or the second girls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess overall I'd say the second.
That's so funny.
I already know yours.
I prefer the first group of girls. I think they're more interesting, but that's just me. So I just wanted to ask that question before we got too deep into it. Michael!
Yes, sir.
Kick us off, motherfucker!
So,
A lot of F-bombs in this movie, so
there is a lot of F-bombs.
Get ready.
I love a good fuck.
I know you do.
Don't we all?
Three friends are cruising around in Austin, Texas. Arlene, Shanna, and Jungle Julia. They are going out to celebrate Julia's birthday at a bar. It is revealed that Jungle Julia is a local DJ and said on air that the first guy to approach Arlene with a drink, refer to her as Butterfly, and recite a line from a poem, Arlene has to give them a lap dance. We are then introduced to Pam, aka Rose McGowan, drinking alone at the bar looking for a ride home. Our antagonist, Stuntman Mike, offers to give her a ride home if and when she is ready to go when he does. The girls move to the patio and drink and smoke pot, and Stuntman Mike comes out and gives Arlene a drink, calls her Butterfly, and recites the poem. He insists on getting a lap dance. If not, he is going to put her in his book as a chicken. The lap dance reel is missing, and we next see everyone leaving. The girls in one car, and Pam and Stuntman Mike in his car. Pam mentions the car is scary, and we find out that Stuntman Mike's car is death proof. That's the first act of the movie. I almost feel like this movie has two acts, but I'm kind of breaking it up into three.
Mm-hmm. It does have two acts.
Yeah.
There's a very clear first act and a very clear second act.
Yes.
It's almost like two separate stories in one, but both with Stuntman Mike.
I mean, it almost feels like we've got obviously two acts, and there's like three acts within each act.
I could see
That's
that.
A good,
yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say before we get again too into it, like you can tell this is a Quentin Tarantino movie
100%.
right off the bat. I love this cinematography. I love, and this is more so in the first half. The first half of the movie looks very gritty, has that 35 millimeter feel, like there's tears in the film and there's missing reels. It doesn't happen so much in the second part of the movie. I love the aesthetic overall. There's one scene in particular when they're in the bar and Jungle Julia is going out to take a phone call, and the way that the camera follows her out, I just love it all. Mm-hmm. I think it's shot really well. I would say, honestly, if I'm being honest, out of all the movies we watched so far, like, it's my favorite. Visually, it's my favorite.
He is a great director.
Yeah.
Yeah, I I've always been like a Tarantino fan in general. I actually went through a period in high school where I watched all of his movies, and I just loved everything about him. And then, like with this one, when I was watching it this time, because did y'all see it in theaters? I did.
I didn't.
I sat through the 5-hour Grindhouse double feature, and I remember watching it in the theater. But I loved Planet Terror from the get-go. But I think I was just ready to get out of that theater. I was a little bored.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I was a little bored with Death Proof, but like watching it
Separately.
by itself, I enjoy it much more.
Yeah, because I just remember when it came out, and I was like so excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to sit through this whole thing, and I don't even care. And even when I watched it in theaters, I remember enjoying Death Proof more than I did Planet Terror. But that was just...
Oh, really?
But that was just me, yeah.
I was with Keith. I like Death Proof better, and I didn't like...
You mean Planet Terror?
I like Planet Terror better.
Okay.
I didn't like I didn't like Death Proof as much, but watching it the second time, I liked it a lot better.
Who's your favorite character, I guess, out of the... We'll say the first
girls.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really like any of them.
What?
I think they're all bitches.
Oh, see, well, then that's probably why I do enjoy them so much.
You do like a
I
bitch.
tend to, I like all of them. I think Jungle Julia is really fun because she is like a no-nonsense kind of gal. She's a local celebrity. But I also like Shanna because she's very Southern. But then I also like Arlene because she's like a badass chick. I feel like if I had to pick one, though... and Pam.
I like Pam.
Think Rose McGowan looks so good in this movie.
She does.
But I would say if I had to pick one, I'd say Arlene's my favorite.
I'd say Pam if I had to pick one.
It would be a toss-up between Jungle Julia and Arlene for me.
Yeah, they're both very sassy, but like I almost feel like where Jungle Julia is very like in your face, you know, like Arlene's a little more subdued, and like you can tell she's a badass.
Sexy.
Yeah, you can. She's sexy. She's a badass, but she doesn't have to go around telling everybody she's a badass. Like
whereas Julia does.
Yeah.
Well, and of course Julia also has that not
DJ.
Like super crazy like complex, but where, I mean, obviously people know who she is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she has 3 billboards,
right?
For God's sake.
I think she's also insecure, and that comes out
I
in
think
her
she's
thing.
A little narcissistic.
She's narcissistic. She's insecure because we see her texting some guy, Chris.
They never see. We don't know who it is.
And she's so excited to see him. He never shows up, and she is very upset about that. So I think she's narcissistic. She's very insecure as well, and that comes out in her persona.
So the one thing I love about Tarantino is that I love when directors use, like, there are so many aspects of even Death Proof that are utilized in all of his other movies. And I love that stuff because I love watching them and picking them out and being able to, like, recognize them. So, like, for instance, in this first act, we have, while the lap dance is going on, we have like the 2 little Avril Lavigne twins back in the back that are in Planet Terror.
Yeah, the twins.
Well.
They're Robert Rodriguez's nieces. Yeah. I like that. I like that Eli Roth has a little cameo in this. Quentin Tarantino himself plays the bar owner. So I do. Yeah, I liked that. I wrote that in my notes. The Rodriguez sisters, I don't know if that's their last name or not, but I do know that's Robert Rodriguez's nieces.
They are, yeah.
But they obviously have a much bigger role in Planet Terror.
Right.
So let's talk about Stuntman Mike eating the nachos.
Oh my God. They obviously were good because they were all over his fucking face.
Well, that's the thing.
And that was
I'm
gross.
all about tearing up some food, but like, goddamn.
Well, I don't like any movie that shows really weird close-ups of people eating and food and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. It makes me uncomfortable. It's gross. The noises are nasty. Like,
the noises were really nasty, and then he's licking his fingers, and he's like playing with the cheese. It's look, those must have been some damn good.
They were good.
I mean, you know, those Southern bar food nachos, they can...
Texas Chili Parlor makes some good nachos.
He does mention to Pam that that's why he's at that bar for
they have
the
good
nachos. Like, that's one of the things he mentions to her. Obviously, he loves them. And here's my thing, too. We get it. Stuntman Mike's the bad guy. Like, that comes later. But the bar owner knows him. So he's obviously
been there before.
An owner, a local, and the owner knows him. They've become friends, or I don't know.
He's been in town enough and been there, visited enough that the bar owner knows him,
Yeah. But, too, I feel like he's obsessed with his stuntman Mike persona, and I almost feel like he becomes bitter when people don't know who he is.
Because he lists off a bunch of movies and films that he did and the characters that he did the stunts for, and no one knows him, and he does get upset.
I think that's what triggers him a little bit.
Yeah.
He wants that notoriety, and I think that's why he was stalking them to begin with, because he is stalking them essentially, because he has pictures of them up in his car, right under his
the three main girls.
Yes.
Do you think he had originally planned to kill Pam though, or if maybe because she didn't know?
No, I think Pam was just
collateral
I'm gonna
damage.
have fun with her,
Right. Yeah.
Because he did have pictures of Julia, Shanna, and Arlene above his visor, and they go to a Mexican restaurant. He's following them there. And then he's at this bar. So I think he is stalking them.
Those three.
Yeah. And I think he might be a little jealous of Jungle Julia. Because even though she's not been in, like, mainstream movies like him.
He's got
he's
billboards
claiming to be. She's got billboards. She's a local celebrity.
Well, there's that whole
People know
part
her.
where he says, are you on this billboard at another billboard way away from them, when you can clearly see that she's on a billboard outside on the patio?
Well, that's I think he's just... I mean, he knows who she is.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just him, like, I think, trying to feed
playing
him.
a little dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
I did like that part.
I mean, what do you think of, like, Stuntman Mike in general?
I love Kurt Russell.
I do. Look,
I think he does
Russell's kind of a fox.
Oh, that's why Goldie Hawn's with him.
Yeah.
For so long.
Yeah.
Because apparently, like, Tarantino really wanted Mickey Rourke to be
gross
Stuntman Mike, and then also had who else? John Travolta was an option, which I can't see that. I can see Mickey Rourke just because he's gritty and gross, but like,
I don't think it would have worked as well, because I feel like Stuntman Mike's got to have a little bit of charm, and Kurt Russell does.
And then he can switch it to
Don't get me wrong, I think Mickey Rourke is great in everything he's in, but I just feel like Kurt Russell
I was gonna say I don't think
the women would go for him.
If you give me Mickey Rourke in like 9.5 weeks, sure, but
Mickey Rourke after all that plastic surgery,
all the work done because he messed his face up boxing and whatever. No thanks.
Boxing.
But the John Travolta thing apparently was like lined up to go, but he was actually filming Hairspray at the time.
Oh,
so
I think it all worked out in the end. I think Kurt Russell was the right choice.
I think Kurt's great.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah,
he does a really good job. He's very charismatic. Like, that's the thing about a villain. If you're gonna have a villain like that, they gotta have some charisma too.
And I also feel like Kurt walks that line of like he can kind of flip the switch of being crazy and cool.
Yeah,
like really well.
He does it very well.
Obviously, perfect example when Pam gets in the car with him. I mean, he worked his magic to get her in there, but then he like flips that switch, and it's like,
which we'll get into the next part.
But it's almost like she kind of did that to herself because she asked for the ride.
Yeah.
So,
and she seemed leery about it at first.
Well, here's what kills me a little bit about Pam's character. Obviously, there's a history with her and Jungle Julia. They went to high school together. Apparently, Julia was mean to her.
She called her a dirty hippie.
Yeah. Like, there's clearly some animosity there. But then at the end, as she's getting in his car, they're joking around about, are you going to fuck him? And she's like, I am not going to fuck him. And, but it's like very playful. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought y'all...
You don't have that relationship.
Hated each other. You know what I mean? And I get it. They've been drinking and smoking. So maybe they're a little more loosey-goosey. But in that moment in the movie, I'm like, are they actually friends?
They're not...
Like, I don't know.
Because she acted like she didn't know her. Jungle Julia didn't act like she knew her. She said, are you talking about that dirty hippie up at the bar?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we find out that they went to school together.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a backstory there we don't find out anything about.
Ooh. Jinx.
So the idea of death proof.
Yeah.
The car, obviously, in the movie. But the idea of the movie in general came from, apparently there was Drunken Hotel night with Tarantino and Sean Penn. And Sean Penn is the one that gave him, because Tarantino made a comment to him about how he doesn't want to die in an auto accident the same way whatever happened in Pulp Fiction. So, and Sean Penn, they got to talking about it, and Sean Penn was like, well, you can pay $10,000 to $15,000, buy any car, bring it to a movie production company or whatever, and they can death proof your car for you. And that was apparently what sparked the idea of
death proof
of this whole
movie,
this whole thing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess we have Sean Penn a little bit to thank for.
Oh, Sean Penn.
Well, and I feel like you think about, I don't want to get too much into it because this is more so towards the end of the movie, but the car itself is death proof. But, what happens outside of the car is fair game.
Right.
I don't want to get too much into it because I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but there was one thing I wanted to mention. The poem. So he does say the poem to Butterfly.
I have the poem.
Well, I do too.
Oh, well, you should read it.
Here's the poem. So when Stuntman Mike is outside talking to Arlene, a.k.a. Butterfly, and he says the poem, he's obviously stalking them, so he heard that on the radio. Or you see his car outside of the Mexican restaurant, and this is when they're discussing it. They're discussing the poem at the Mexican restaurant, and part of me wonders if maybe he was in there. Like, we just don't see him in there.
Yeah.
And so he obviously knew what the poem was. She turns him down. So he's bitter yet. So not only has Pam bruised his ego because she has no idea who he is or any of these movies or television shows he's been in, but now he's not getting
rejected by
he's
Arlene.
getting rejected by really Jungle Julia and Arlene. Because you think about it, Julia's kind of a bitch to him.
Oh, she interjects herself into that whole thing. Yeah. But did he get a lap dance? Because we have a missing reel.
No, it's a missing
like
reel.
A good old grindhouse.
Got one or not.
Yeah. I think he did.
So
now there are two versions of this movie. I was
going to say, so we had this discussion because there's a few things that apparently was in the one that I watched prior to recording this, and there is a lap dance in the one that I got that I watched.
So ours says Arlene and
yes,
okay,
and
which the one that we watched was the theatrical version,
and it was said missing reel
version, right?
Yeah,
and it said missing reel, and then it jumped to them leaving, everyone leaving the bar. So we didn't see.
This is a very interesting little thing we have going on here because now I feel like there's going to be things that I could potentially be talking about that y'all didn't even have in your version.
I think it's better that there wasn't a lap dance.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
because that's a true grindhouse.
I've seen this, and I even told you there was a part later on in the movie where they stop at a gas station that's not in the version that Michael and I watched, but I have seen it before, and I know it's a thing.
Because
it was in the one Mike
watched.
So I think there's an uncut version and then like theatrical. Because here's the thing, you got to think when it was released, Grindhouse, it's going to be long anyway, so they're going to cut corners where they can. Yeah. So I think it's smart for them to put a missing reel in the theatrical version, and then in the unrated version actually have the lap dance. So that makes sense.
Well, and see, so that makes me wonder. So because the only time I think you see those twins that I was talking about is during the lap dance.
We see them in the very beginning.
In the beginning,
they're going
into
the chili parlor. I think that's the place.
Yeah, they walk into
and that's all we see of them.
Because like when during the lap dance, they're literally like in the background. Because like everybody like
you said that earlier, and I was like, I don't remember seeing them.
Everybody turns to like watch this lap dance. Because in my notes, I was like, this is normal. Let's just have a lap dance in the middle of this bar floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody turns around and is like watching them, and the twins are like in the back, like sipping on something, and they're just like bobbing their heads, like enjoying the music or whatever.
Oh yeah, well the first time you see the Texas Chili Parlor, that's what the place is called. It's the twins walking in, and they're kind of bickering, like they do in Planet Terror.
The last you see them.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that. So we're at the second act now. Stuntman Mike asks Pam if she needs to go left or right. She chooses the wrong direction, and he informs her she is about to get scared more quickly. had she chosen the other direction. He then speeds off and reveals that the car is only death-proof to the driver. He slams on the brake, smashes Pam's face into the car, killing her. He then speeds off and finds the other girls en route to their friend Lana's lake house. He speeds past them, does a U-turn, and drives at the car full speed, killing all 4 of them. Mike survives the crash and is cleared of all charges, and it is ruled an accident. We also get a little glimpse of Dr. Dakota Block briefly talking to the sheriff. I had more in there of the deaths, but I think we should talk about the deaths.
That-
Individually, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I love how that's filmed. How
Amazing.
It's like each one individually, like what
Yes.
they went through during the crash. And even though it's so quick, oh my God, it's so effective. It's really well done. It's obvious. I mean, there may be some CGI in there, but I feel like for the most part, it looks practical.
Yeah.
But damn, that's a good scene. That is
It
a
is.
really well done
Amazing
car crash.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Tarantino is a big fan of those, like, music moments.
Yes, he is.
So,
like, yes, I love the precursor of them, like kind of, like they're all
They're
still
singing,
feeling themselves. They're probably coming off of their high and they're
Drinking.
they've been drinking, so they're a little tired. But like they're like head shaking, and I don't know what Shanna Banana's doing in the back with her hands.
She's doing that dance.
She's doing some weird thing with her hands. I do like that visual. Like they're all really feeling.
And
the
then lights
music,
come on,
and boom.
and they're dead.
But wait, we gotta talk about Pam a little bit too.
Oh, poor Pam.
Poor Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just wanted to ride home, damn it.
I know.
Well, and do you really think that it would have mattered if she had picked left or right?
No.
No. I think that was all just
scare
show.
tactic.
Yeah.
Make her.
And she was really nice to him. She
Unbelievably
wasn't like
nice.
Julia, or like she wasn't like she was really nice
Yeah.
to him, having like a genuine conversation with him. And I'm just like, why would you do that to her? Like I get,
Because he's a psycho.
Oh, I get why you would want to kill the other girls. Like, no, I shouldn't say that, but
I think it just makes it more realistic in the way of him being psychotic.
he's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter who it is. Like,
Yeah.
I guess that's their way of making it be like, well, yeah, all these people might be bitches to him, but this is a really nice girl, and he still did the same thing. So it doesn't matter.
Oh man! And when he like slams on his brakes
And she-
hits that
oh,
dashboard, it's rough.
Yeah.
And like the sound effects are great. I just think that whole little portion of the movie is just so well done.
And then that's where we get the pictures.
Yes,
he kills
that's-
her, and then he pulls down his
pulls the
visor,
pictures,
and we
yep.
see the 3 pictures of the 3
The other
girls.
That's,
Who he's really after. Yeah.
that's very true. And then poor Lana, like she kind of
She's collateral damage.
She got
Pam's
caught in
collateral
the crossfire
damage.
almost
Yeah.
because she's not. I mean, she's. I
She
think
wants to go to
she's
the
just
lake
really
house.
their dealer. She's getting weed. They're getting
Yeah.
weed from her, but. So yes, car crash. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I mean, also, I feel like we'd be remiss to not talk about the fact that Tarantino has a foot fetish.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Because
He has a huge foot fetish.
He does. And
Jungle
obviously-
Julia having her foot out.
Yeah, every single time they showed it, I was like, well, this is obviously like, we know where this is going.
Yeah.
So when they were cruising down the road, flying, whatever, and here's her little foot just a bob, and I'm like, girl,
That foot's about to
you
go
better
flying.
bring that thing inside.
I know. I felt bad like watching it. They all have their seatbelts on, I believe.
Except
I know the girls.
for Arlene.
Okay, well, no.
Shanna.
Arlene has her. I think both of the girls in the back seat have their.
One girl flies out of the car.
That's Shanna, but when when they're sitting there, I feel like I saw the seatbelt on her. I don't know, maybe
Oh.
I'm crazy, but yeah, Shanna's the first one they show, and she flies right out the window.
Yeah.
there.
And hits that pavement.
Ooh, hits
Oh.
that pavement hard.
Yeah.
And then
but
who does it?
Arlene's is rough.
And her,
the
she gets her
tire on
face.
the face.
Oh, that is gross.
That beautiful face. Sorry, girl.
Gets it peeled off with that tire.
Lana's was kind of like nothing really happened.
No,
to
it
her.
was just she
kinda
flew
like-
back in the glass.
It's honestly
Yeah.
kind of glamorous because she's
Yeah.
like, oh, and you've got the wind and the glass. and
Meanwhile, these
everything.
other girls are being maimed and thrown out the
Ripped apart.
windows.
And then Julia's leg flies off.
Yeah, that it was so well done though. So well done.
Yeah. I love it.
Apparently, one of the things that Tarantino wanted to do at the end of that scene was, and I guess he felt like it was too graphic or just not necessary, is Kurt Russell's character was going to be like shown like actually like masturbating in his car after the wreck.
Oh, so he's into
Like the
wreckage.
I guess like it's almost
He's
like
turned off
almost like a
Oh.
sexual fetish type thing, or just an adrenaline rush, really.
Yeah.
Like that, because I mean, obviously he's a stuntman, so that gets his blood flowing anyway.
That's
I'm sure.
interesting.
And I just thought it was interesting to think about that, because while going into the hospital, I guess it's kind of a good segue. So obviously we see your girl,
My girl,
Marley Shelton.
Obviously in the
Dakota
same world
Block.
as Planet Terror.
Yeah, she's playing the same role, and the sheriff, that's her dad in Planet Terror too. Now,
Rose McGowan plays a different character.
she does. No, I don't know if we ever see her brother in Planet Terror. I don't think we do, because she actually drives to her father's house, who is the sheriff in Planet Terror. Anyways, obviously that's a different movie. I don't want to get.
I kind of love that they're in the same universe, though.
Yes, I do too.
So I don't know how familiar you are with like the two cops in that scene or whatever. They're
No.
actually father son in real life.
Oh.
So and they're in several of Tarantino's movies as well. So they kind of like have that little dynamic, I guess. But I couldn't help, once again, you know, I make every effort to bring up our little small town cops in these movies that
Don't do much.
they just don't do very much.
No.
And they,
Why would you let this guy go?
When clearly it was on purpose.
Well,
But he got cleared as an accident.
But here's the thing. Well, I mean, I guess it could. I was going to say, what about Pam? Did they not find Pam in his car? But then she could have just been getting a ride. But let's be real. There was no seat. It was like a little bicycle seat that she's supposed to be sitting on.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't have gotten in that car.
And did they not find the pictures? They could have found those photos of the girls in his car.
Maybe he threw him out. He
he
took
threw
him
him
off the
out.
visor.
Oh, did he throw him
yeah, he
out the
threw him on the
window?
street.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I missed that.
And I mean, I guess honestly, you probably could have. They may have just been like, "Oh, well, maybe this girl got like thrown through the windshield and into his car." Like, if they saw Pam, I don't know if they even did or not. But
Let's be real. Those cops are just lazy.
They didn't care.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So that brings us to 14 months later. We are introduced to a whole new set of girls in our backwoods, Lebanon, Tennessee. Two stunt women, Zoe and Kim, makeup artist Abby and actress Lee. The girls go eat at a diner, and you can see stuntman Mike watching them from the parking lot. Zoe tells the girls that she wants to go test drive a 1970 white Dodge Challenger, which is the same car from the movie Vanishing Point. They go out to an old farmhouse and convince the owner to let them test drive the car alone and leave Lee to hang out with the owner. During the test drive, Zoe decides to ride on the hood of the car, and Kim drives the car at high speed. Stuntman Mike comes out of the blue and rams into the car repeatedly and tries to drive them off the road. After a long chase, both cars are stopped, and Kim shoots Mike in the shoulder. Mike speeds off to tend to his wounds. The girls decide to go after him and kill him. I'm going to leave it there. I had more, but...
What's a Dodger Challenger?
Did I say sorry, a 1970 Dodge Challenger.
Dodger Challengers. They're not made anymore.
They are not.
So, I mean, I don't like this. I do like this group of girls, but I don't like them as much as I like the first group of girls. And even though it's still shot well, the grittiness is not there. Like I said, like the tears in the film and like the run, like you don't really see it as much, and it's much brighter. I mean, they are outside in Lebanon, Tennessee. It's very green, you know.
Good old Lebanon.
Yeah, y'all. Lebanon is what it's called. Lebanon.
That's an interesting like thought too. I didn't even pick up on that until you literally just said that. That I guess the first half with the other girls is all at night, and this one is literally all during the day. I didn't even think about it when I was watching it.
It still has that 35 millimeter like filter, but not as much. I don't know. I'm sure that was on purpose.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, it's not as it's more current feeling.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like the first half almost feels like it's in the 70s. Like
We discussed that because we
Yeah.
were like, when does this take place?
then
But
when it
obviously
says-
she has a cell phone.
yeah, and then when it says 14 months later, I was like, oh, okay, well this is only like a year later, but this looks like it's in like the 2000s. So
it's very reminiscent of like Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like it feels very 70s, but it's clearly in present day.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, let's just give credit where credit's due on this diner scene, because I love a long shot that's literally like a one take.
It's long. 8 minutes?
Yeah. It's like 8 minutes long, that diner scene, and I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love it when I don't feel like it is. Like when it's so fluid that you don't even like realize that just happened. It just felt natural.
Yeah.
And I feel like Tarantino's so good at doing stuff like that in general.
I feel like Tarantino's really good at making a movie that's a slow burn, but like in the best way. Like it's not slow to where it's boring, but it's, I don't know. Because I feel like there's a lot of movies that are slow that are just boring, but his aren't. Like it's a good slow burn.
Yeah.
And I like a good slow burn movie, but I just feel like he's really good with that. With that pacing.
I feel like he has enough visuals and things to entertain you the whole time, even if it is a slow burn.
Yeah.
Like the placement of the movie posters and the placement of this and that. And there's so much for the eye to look at during the whole time.
And then tag on the fact that, like, obviously there are so many things in the movie to pick up on from his other movies.
Yeah.
So it's like the back of their car or whatever has like the Lil Pussy Wagon like sticker on it, which is obviously from like Kill Bill, and the big truck that she gets. So I think that's so cool when they do stuff like that.
And the dialogue for me is really good too. It's very quick. They deliver it really well, because I'm sure like there's a lot of like really quick, like witted conversations that they have the first and second half, where they're like going back and forth with each other. So like it's written really well, but the actors do a really good job of making it sound believable.
I was gonna say it sounds like real, like you're
A
literally
natural
sitting in and
conversation,
watching like a real conversation between friends. Like that's
Exactly.
So I think Stuntman Mike's downfall is that he targeted two stunt women. 100%.
Oh yeah, he didn't know what he was getting himself in for with that.
He was fucking with the wrong girls.
Yeah.
Totally. I love
love that it's like the two stunt women and then the makeup artist.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to go too, you know? And I just want to make a note really quick of when they go to pick up the car and they leave Lee there. Yeah. Jasper, the man who's selling the car, is so gross.
Oh.
And like, I love the scene where they leave and it's Lee just kind of like, because they talked about they're hungover. They're all hungover and tired, and she's kind of like passed out in this lawn chair. And he walks up to her, and you don't see his face in the scene. It's just her, but you can see him from like, I don't know, chest down.
Yeah.
And he's making these like grunts and giggles. I don't know why. It just cracked me up.
Yeah.
He's like,
He thinks he's going to get a blowjob or something.
Well, so
they implied that earlier.
Jasper is literally, it's the same character from Kill Bill that molests her in that. Oh. So it's literally like Jasper, it's same actor, same character name, all of that.
Oh,
so it's probably not too much of a stretch to think that here she is, half wasted on this chair, passed out, that he might be trying to have something
his way with
go
him.
on.
Oh.
And I mean, they never show us that.
No.
But I feel like it's kind of implied.
See them again. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Well, see, and I don't know Kill Bill enough to, like, I've only seen them ever, like, one time, long time ago, so I obviously didn't pick up on that.
Good.
I didn't pick up on it either.
Yeah.
And I do like those movies.
But yeah, like, I fucking live for Kim. So she is my fave.
Tracy Thomas.
I love Tracy,
yeah. Also, shout out to the Rent people out there that liked seeing her and Rosario in the same movie again.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I remember Tracy from The Devil Wears Prada because she plays Anne Hathaway's best friend that owns the art gallery.
I just think she's so funny.
She is funny.
Like, I just love her little ghetto, like, ways and things that she says and stuff. I just love it.
And I thought Zoe Bell was a really good choice because obviously she's a real stunt performer.
Yeah.
And she could perform all of her stunts. Like, it just makes sense for them to hire a real life stunt woman
once again
to perform these stunts.
Making it feel more realistic.
Because those shots...
You had said that when we watched it. You're like, this looks real. And I'm like, She's a stunt
like
woman.
it's really her on the hood of that car. And it's funny because if you watch really close, there's one scene where they're driving and it's obviously very clearly Zoe Bell, but like if you look inside, that is not Rosario Dawson in the passenger seat. You know, but it's I don't know. I kudos to her.
Yeah.
I think the scenes of her on the top of that car, like, even though it's supposed to be like, okay, like adrenaline rush, this is crazy, like, it's kind of beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I love it all.
The wind blowing on her, and she's just strong, and she's like, I'm doing this, motherfucker. It's like, I really like like her.
I mean, of course, I feel like this whole movie in general, well, with the exception of, like, I guess the first girls, but they were still badass in their own way. They just didn't make it. But, like, it's very, like, female empowerment.
Yeah, it's a female-driven movie.
And I love stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, Zoe Bell, though, put her and Tracy Thoms together, and it's like, I mean, sorry, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
They did steal the show at the end. Yeah. Their banter.
And here's my thing.
I mean, I love that whole chase scene where he's trying to drive him off the road, and they just persevere, and then they think she's dead. They think Zoe is dead, and she just pops up.
I love it.
Like nothing.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I'm right here.
Yeah.
She just, like, pops up out of the grass, like.
Well, and I like it, too, because I feel like, obviously, they're test driving this car. She's not bought it.
And it's been beat to shit.
Yeah, it looks like shit. Obviously, Jasper's going to be pissed. And at this point, obviously, they're going to have to pay for it, right? And so it almost turns into, well, shit, if we got to pay for it, we might as well really fuck this car up.
Exactly.
And then they go after them. And then when she makes that comment about, oh, we're going to go kill this motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And they're all like, hell yeah, we are.
And Zoe finds a pipe.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That whole climax of the movie there at the very end where they're just and that's why I was getting it. The car itself, yes, is death proof. But once out of it, it's like all fair game. Like these bitches are going to tear your ass up. And they do. And he deserved it. And when they're cheering there at the end and it says the end, like I live. Like that is such a good final still to end on. I think it's so good.
I love it.
Taking their turns, just fucking beating his ass, and he deserved every bit of it. That's for Pam, for Jungle Julia, for Shanna Banana, and for Butterfly. And Lana. Fuck you, stuntman Mike.
I just, like, and I love, once again, how Kurt Russell, flips the switch, and now he's, like, this, like, submissive, crying and whatever. He's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Bitch!
Well, and I think to myself, that's real. That is real. He's actually a big old pussy.
Yeah.
And you know why you never succeeded in Hollywood? Because you couldn't fucking cut it with the big boys.
Yep.
And who showed you that?
And you fucked with the wrong women.
3 badass bitches.
And 2 stunt women.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Who knew how to handle themselves.
Yeah, I really I like that. To me, that was not an act. That was him. He was a scared little bitch. And
I love, though, when Zoe, like, comes at him with that bar when he's in the car.
Yeah.
And she is fucking wailing on him. And I'm like, yes, bitch, get him. Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's in the clear.
It's such
he's
a
trying to tend to his wound.
validating ending.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, when you're watching it, it just, like, feels good. It's like, yes, you got this fucker. Like,
I love the very, very end where they get kind of separated.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And she's like, don't dead end. And he thinks he's in the clear. And then she fucking T-bones him. And that car goes fucking flying.
Yeah.
And rolling. And then that's when the screaming.
Also, we get to see local Starlight Drive-In.
Oh I didn't even notice that.
I was going to say, so this movie was not filmed here. It was filmed all in Texas and California.
Yeah.
But what I love about the drive-in that they incorporated, I love it when it goes through the marquee sign and you see the letters flying. That's a really good shot, and I made a note of that.
And what was it? It was Wolf Creek and Scary Movie 4 was the movies on the marquee.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's awesome.
But I think it's funny that, obviously, that's what Lebanon's, like,
known for.
The drive-in there is called Starlight Drive-In.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool that they're in Lebanon, Tennessee, and Starlight Drive-In is the marquee that we get.
Yeah, they tried to make it authentic. Well, even with the newspaper she shows, like it's the Lebanon newspaper.
And then there's a truck in the background at that gas station that it's like I don't know if it's like where they're getting like inventory product and stuff. and it's from Chattanooga.
Oh, okay.
So they definitely kept with the Tennessee,
Yeah.
Well, even though it may not have like been filmed here, like Tarantino's I feel like he's a stickler on details. So if it wasn't filmed here, by God, he was going to make you feel like it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
All right. So before we end this segment, do you consider this a horror movie?
I honestly don't. As I'm watching it, I get the idea. I think the only reason that I would consider it a horror movie is because it's like he's like the killer, quote unquote. But in general, no.
See, I feel like the first half of it is a horror movie. I feel like the second half is more of an action movie, if that makes sense.
I 100% think this movie is an exploitation movie, specifically car exploitation. It's Grindhouse. Grindhouse were all mostly exploitation movies, so that's where Grindhouse leaned heavily into B horror movies and specifically exploitation, and there was a lot of subgenre. Like horror, there's a lot of subgenres in exploitation, and this is definitely an exploitation movie. I don't see it as horror. A horror adjacent, but exploitation.
Yeah. I think there's enough gore, albeit very quick, to be considered a horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the second half of the movie doesn't feel as scary as the first.
Right.
Which I also kind of feel like is because he met his match. So,
Yeah.
there's not as much intimidation on his part to make you feel that fear. So,
I'd almost say the second part of the movie's almost, I know I say action, but it's almost a little bit of a comedy, too. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Is it time?
I believe it's time.
Is it time?
If I could turn.
It's time.
For Horror Fried Theater. Mike.
What?
Mike's first name is technically Michael.
It is,
so
yes.
I can say.
But he's
not
Mike,
confuse
I'm
the
Michael.
people.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, help
Okay.
us out here.
So,
Mike, what are we doing?
So this was a little hard, just in general, because there's so many, there's so much dialogue in this movie.
A lot of dialogue.
So it was hard to pick, scenes that were, not going to be us just sitting here, talking forever. So I ended up picking two scenes out of the second part. So I'm going to say A and B, parts A and B. We're not doing both. I want you to just pick which one you would rather do. So the two scenes are the four girls when they first get together in the car. They're talking girl talk, basically. We'll just call that scene girl talk. And then the second is the diner scene, the long shot, where they're literally just sitting around the diner talking to each other at that point too. So
I feel like the dialogue in the car is more... No?
I'm just nervous.
Okay, well, you pick. Michael, you pick. You just pick.
A.
So the car.
Yes.
Okay. That's the longest one.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Wait!
So
I just have to make sure I have, ample camera time here.
The characters that I just kind of picked for us, Keith, you are actually going to be Abernathy and Lee. Michael, you are going to be Zoe.
I expect an Australian accent.
And then I'm actually going to do the narration, and then I'll be Kim as well. So
Of course, you love Kim.
I do.
Wait, so which pages are we doing?
So go ahead, and it's going to be, so up at the top you'll see 89. But you'll see, I've marked a star where to stop at the next scene. So you'll see it once you start reading through it.
Lord, have mercy. This is a long one.
I told you it is.
There is a lot of dialogue, but I like it. I like there's a lot of dialogue.
And I feel like once we start reading through it, it's probably going to go pretty quick.
I'll be honest. I like when there's more dialogue because some of these have a lot of action.
Oh,
And
right.
so I like that this is more dialogue than action.
Yeah.
Hell, we could do both.
Well, we'll just see
Oh my God.
how we're feeling. How
Okay.
we're feeling.
Okay. We could do both and swap out characters.
We'll see how it
Okay,
goes.
okay.
So you're narrating, though, if there's any narration?
Yes, I'll do that. So, all right. Let's kick this
who am I
off.
again?
You are Abernathy and Lee.
Got it.
All right. So here we are. Interior of the car is moving. It's daytime. The 4 girls are packed in the car. Oh, actually, before we really get into the dialogue, disclaimer: we pull these like off of the net, so sometimes the dialogue can be a little different than what you would probably see in the movie, just to give you a forewarning if it sounds different than maybe if you're one of those people that's obsessed with this scene and you know it by heart, it might be a little off. Just saying.
Okay.
So go ahead. 4 girls are packed in the car. Let's go.
Your timing couldn't be better, Zoe. It just so happens we're all 3 off duty for the next 3 days of shooting.
Fucking hell, what does that happen?
Well, I'm doing Lindsay Lohan's makeup, and she's off for the next 3 days. There's no stunts being filmed during that time, so Kim's free, and Lee's on a will notify for the next 4 days.
Yeah, but if it rains, that'll all change for me. Their cover shot is the cafeteria scene between me and Brandy.
Brandy, the girl from Moesha?
Oh, hell no. They show Moesha in New Zealand?
Hell yeah. Mo to the E to the...
They all laugh. Oh, that's great. How's it going to be one of them days I can't get the Moesha theme out of my head?
So how's the shoot going?
Great, we're having the best time. The director, Cecil Evans, is so much fun. We're making the coolest movie and partying all the time.
The name Cecil is pronounced like Cecil Brown and rhymes with vessel. Oh, so Cecil.
Oh.
Not like
Oops.
Beanie and Cecil and rhyming with diesel.
Cecil.
Hell yeah, the next job after this is definitely going to suck.
So let's hear it, ladies. Set romances. Who's getting it off?
That would be Lee and Toolbox.
Oh, Toolbox. The name sounds promising.
He's a grip.
What he is a pervert.
Well, he keeps sounding better and better. What's his perversion?
He likes to watch me pee.
The girls laugh. Kim and Abernathy chant. Lee's sitting on the toilet. Toolbox is watching her pee. Pissing. Yeah, but no more. Now she's getting it on with The Rock.
You're having one off with The Rock?
Not the real Rock. He's an electrician named Bruce. But Kim calls him The Rock because he looks like him. And now we just call him The Rock.
Yeah, this is an all-star crew. We got a guy that looks like Nick Cage and a guy who looks like Pee Wee Herman, too.
Kim, Dick Department, let's hear it.
No dick this trip. I got a man.
Is he coming up every couple of weeks and visiting you?
Yep, that's why no dick this trip. The girls laugh.
And just remember, Kim, whoever you do in Tennessee stays in Tennessee.
How long have you had a boyfriend?
About 3 months.
Who'd you steal him from?
Nobody.
Kim, he totally had a girlfriend.
All of Kim's boyfriends started out as somebody else's boyfriend.
I didn't steal him. I didn't steal any of them. They just jumped ship.
What's your story, Abernathy?
Abby's got the big kahuna.
I had a set crush on Cecil.
Set crush, brother, please. You were his set wife.
Were and had being the whole keywords here.
Bitch, you two are still into each other and you know it.
Oh yeah, well if he's so in love with me, then why did he fuck Daryl Hannah's stand-in?
Because he's a man.
Yeah, was that a trick question?
Yes, men are dogs. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, stop acting like you all hurt. Your ass is just mad.
Yeah, he's a stand-in fucker.
Bitch, you need to get over that shit. That was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, well, no, if you put it like that. Oh, I haven't told you the best part. He fucked her on my birthday.
Oh, that's a horse of a different color.
Thank you.
Did he know it was your birthday? He is a director. He's kind of busy.
Well, he ate a piece of my birthday cake and he got me a present. Yeah, I think he knew.
What did he get you?
He made me a tape.
He made you a tape.
Yeah.
He didn't burn you a CD. He made you a tape.
Yes, and I know what you're going to say, so don't even go there.
It sounds like the test of true love to me.
Look, I know you guys like him. He's likable. But he fucked another woman on my birthday. How can you not be on my side?
Well, I admit that sounds bad.
It is bad.
It sounds like a little more to it than that. Were you two fucking?
Hell no.
Hello, is your name Abernathy?
Sorry.
To answer your question is no. Of course not.
What do you mean, no, of course not?
The reason Cecil hasn't had a girlfriend in 6 years is because girls will fuck him. And if you fuck Cecil, you don't become one of his girlfriends. Not to say I want to be his girlfriend, but if I did want to be his girlfriend, if I fucked him, I wouldn't be his girlfriend. I'd be one of the regulars. And I'm just getting too fucking old for that shit.
How about blowjobs?
Nope, no blowjobs.
You've at least made out, right?
Zoe, no. He does that shit with too many other girls. I'm not going to be that girl.
You've never even kissed?
We've kissed.
But no tongue.
No tongue. Not that he hasn't tried.
Have you let him do anything?
Yes, I've let him give me a foot massage. And when we go to the movies, I've let him hold my hand.
Bitch, you may be acting like you're 12 years old, but he's just acting like a man. You need to break him off a piece.
So let me get this straight. You're fucking him. You're not fucking him. You're not sucking him. You're not giving him any tongue. But Daryl Hannah's stand-in is. You know how cultures might say the wiser choice?
Try being married to a prick who cheats on you and see if you're still singing the same tune.
We ain't talking about marriage. We're talking about you and Cecil. You and Cecil married.
No.
Marriage is different. When a man finally breaks down and marries your ass, he's made the decision to settle down. That's why they try to hold that shit off to the last possible minute. Not only that, he's even made a vow to God and in front of his people that he's going to settle down. Now that shit works in the long run, remains to be seen for both of y'all, but that's a whole different thing. But this, I'm your girlfriend, you're my boyfriend, Mickey Mouse mess. All that means is I got a date on my Saturday night and on my birthday and Christmas. That boy better go deep in pocket. And by the way, what the fuck are we talking about anyway? You're neither married to Cecil or his girlfriend. That man can do what he please. Before you can claim a man, you gotta claim a man. And you can start by giving that motherfucker a hand job in the back of the van on Tuesday.
I'm not gonna do that.
I know you won't, but you know who will? The bitch that ends up living in that big ass mansion of his.
You know, I gotta say, I haven't entirely agreed on everything Kim said, but it's true when you stretch shit out as long as you have with Cecil. If you suddenly get dirty on him, it blows their mind.
Look, baby, I love you, but you better recognize Cecil's a good man. You give him a hand job on Tuesday and he'll write your ass a poem on Wednesday. And when y'all get married at your wedding, you give me presents. Abernathy stopped arguing and sits back thinking a bit about what her friend said. Mark my words, when this movie's over and done with, them two gonna get married.
I'm not gonna marry him.
Mark my words.
Okay, can we just take my sex life off the table?
Actually, it was Cecil's sex life that was on the table and your lack of one.
The girls bust up, especially Kim, who does a Sam Jackson pimp laugh. Zoe and Kim give a high five.
Oh, fuck both of you and your little high five.
End scene. That was actually good.
That
was fun.
Good. I was definitely missing an Australian accent, but
We'll let it
sorry.
slide.
We'll have to let it slide this time.
I'm really disappointed, Michael. I was looking forward to Australian accent.
Next time.
Okay. Next time.
Just means you need to drink more.
Exactly.
Hell, he's had 3 of those and 1 on the floor, so I know that wasn't you, that was Mike. Anyway, look, I don't want to harp on the past. It's time for our final thoughts here at Horror Fried. We rate our films using the heat scale of Nashville Hot Chicken. We'll be using these temperatures on a scale of 1 to 5. No spice, mild, medium, hot, and Nashville Hot. Mike?
Okay. So, I guess final thoughts. I do enjoy this movie a lot, and obviously I've already said that I'm a big Tarantino fan in general, so like there's that. I would probably say I'm going to give it a hot for me. So.
Great.
I'm actually going to give it a hot as well. I enjoyed it the second time that I've watched it. The cinematography is great. I think the acting's great. The dialogue's great. And I really enjoyed it this time. So, a hot.
Are we unanimous?
We might be. Are you a
Oh
hot?
my God, I'm a hot.
Yeah.
We are. It's been a while.
Well, here's the thing. I was going back and forth between medium and hot. The car crash alone is just epic. The actors are all really good in this. The dialogue is really good. So for me, it's not a movie that I would watch a lot. Like, I'm not going to just, I want to watch Death Proof today. Like, I've got to be in the mood for it, but it's just so well done. So good. I can't rate it anything less than hot.
I agree with all that.
Me too.
Yeah, it's perfect. Any final thoughts?
I don't have any.
I don't have anything
I feel like
else
we kind of
either.
touched on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, y'all. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and rate that motherfucking podcast, the Horrified Podcast. Catch up on all of our previous episodes on your favorite streaming services. Links are available on our Instagram page. Now it's time to swap spit and hit the road. Until next time, remember, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. Have a blessed night.
Godspeed.
Bye.
Bye.
And who the hell is Stuntman Mike?